Okay, so I had this spalted maple log that came from a standing dead maple tree that I took down a while back, and this piece was sitting around, so I wanted to cut it up. It's got some interesting stuff going on, some areas that may have a little bit of soft wood in there, but I'm going to see what I can pull out of this. It's about 24 inches at the widest point, which my bandsaw will only do about 21, so it's going to have to do some finagling to make this work. You'll see later on how I've had a little struggles here. Now the height that I can get my saw to was not high enough to start to even cut through, so I had to take off some of the chunks at the top here to be able to start this. This piece here, with a hole in it, I'm gonna leave as a separate piece, and I thought it was kind of an interesting piece that someone might be able to use for some kind of decoration. Now I'm taking the top chunk out. I got the saw as far as it'll go, so I can have like a thick piece I'm taking off, which later I'll put back on and cut up into pieces. There it is there. It's a little bit, it's like a thick piece. You can see where water was getting in when the hole wasn't. Now here I'm stuck. Having to adjust a little bit to be able to get the wheels of the bandsaw that are the guides to be able to make it through. Once I get over 20 or 21 inches, that could be a struggle, and you have to have the log on there just in the right spot, kind of maximizing everything so you can get it to go through. When I do readjust, I always have to make sure that the log is parallel to the blade, because it'll roll a little bit on me when I move it around, and you can end up with uneven cuts. Stuck here again, but I'm kind of pulling my way through. This one got really jammed in there a little bit. But I'm getting some pretty nice pieces coming out of here. And the wood in here was pretty decent. There are some softer areas, but I think they'd make some nice epoxy jobs with filling the holes with epoxy and an epoxy coating to kind of strengthen the wood. Time to flip it over and see what I can get from the other side. Sometimes it's challenging. The handle on the dog that holds the log in place will get caught on the wheels. You have to get that. I have to play around with that so I can get the saw to get past on these wider logs. Someday maybe I'll have a bigger one. It's a pretty interesting piece that came out there. Might make a nice shelf. A little bit of soft area there I was pointing out. Here's where I'm starting to get stuck again. I'm getting where it's over 21 inches. Checking to make sure the roller assemblies are gonna clear. So that if I flip it, I might get a be able to do it a little better, because sometimes that makes a difference. Here I had to chainsaw off a little bit on the one side just to be able to get those wheels to clear. And I decided to keep this one as just a thicker piece, 4-inch piece. Now I've got the original piece I cut off, and I'm just cutting some pieces off of that. Little discs. It was some good hard lumber here on this part. Might make some interesting signs or decorative pieces, or maybe serving trays or something. And I'm left with a pretty decent piece. So that's what came out of that log, some pretty nice pieces. The moisture content's gonna be pretty high yet in these because it's been sitting outside getting rained on, but we'll get them over to the barn to be air drying and put them up for sale.